So then those are our signs for inequalities, basically anything other than a regular equal sign. So when we're talking about graphing inequalities, we're going to use an open circle for less than or greater than. And then we're going to use a closed circle for the other two. All right, so we'll be solving inequalities and graphing the solution. In the first one, I have x less than 3. Is the x by itself on one side? Great, then I can immediately graph the solution. All right, there's nothing else with the x. So that is technically my solution. My solutions are all numbers less than 3. So like, would 0 be a solution? Is 0 less than 3? Then yes. Would 5 be a solution? No. So I want to represent that on this number line. And this one has the number lines created for you. Otherwise, you'd have to make one yourself. So I'll show you on both. But if you had to make the number line yourself, I would put whatever solution is on the other side in the middle. And then you want numbers that would come to the right on a number line. So numbers greater than 3, like 4 and 5. And then numbers smaller than 3, like 2 and 1. Would this symbol, the less than, would it get an open or a closed circle? Open. And you can look on the vocabulary that we did. That one gets an open circle. So find where 3 is on the number line and put an open circle. I'm doing it on both places so you can see both. And then I want to draw an arrow where all the x's are less than 3. So would that be to the left or to the right? To the left is correct. And you can put an arrow to show that it goes on infinitely, like that. And then you can kind of plug in to make sure that you did it correctly. Is 1 less than 3? Yeah, so that's what I would do. Is I was kind of just take a few where my arrow is, because where the arrow is pointing is saying that all of those are solutions. Is 3 a solution to this? Is 3 less than 3? 3 is equal to 3. And so 3 wouldn't be a solution to this one. It would if I had a little line underneath it, but I don't. So everything that is to the left of the 3 is a solution. Make sense? All right, how about you guys try number 4 then? So you guys try number 4 based on what we did in number 1. All right, so where would the circle be in example 4? On the -5. So see that we both put it in the same spot, the -5 would be here. Would it be an open or a closed circle? Closed, so fill in that circle. That tells you that -5 is part of the solution when it's closed, versus over here when it was open. And then what direction should the arrow go? To the left or to the right? To the left is correct, because we want numbers that are less than or equal to the -5. So like, is -6 less than -5? Yes, it's -8 less than -5. So then we went the correct direction. Make sense? All right. There's others in here too, like let's look at 3 together real quick. where would the circle go in example 3? On the 7. Would it be this 7? No, the positive 7. And would it be open or closed? Good. Now on this one, would the arrow go to the left or to the right? To the right is correct. Because when you plug in numbers that are to the right of the 7, is 8 greater than or equal to 7? So then we're pointing in the correct direction. Would 7 be a solution to number 3? Is 7 greater than or equal to 7? Yes, it's equal to. And that's what this is saying. It has to be greater than or equal to. And since it's equal to, it is a solution. Questions on that? All right, so then now we are going to write an equality. Maybe it should be inequality given the graph. So now working backwards. For these, you'll definitely have a variable, right? It could be X, it could be Y. I'll stick with X. What number should I put next to the X in this first example? And why the -2? Because that's where the circle is. All right, so starting where the circle is, that means that that is where the boundary starts, because inequalities kind of give you boundaries. To pick the symbol, kind of look at what's going on here. Is the arrow pointing to numbers that are greater or less than the -2? Less than. So I'm going to put a less than symbol. And then based on my circle, should I put that little line underneath? No, because it's open, or it's for the open circles. You have just a normal less than symbol. Make sense? And then always double check, plug in numbers where the arrow's pointing. Yes, -4 is less than -2, and so forth. Also keep in mind, is this inequality equivalent to this inequality? Are these saying the same thing? Which one is the bigger number in the top relationship? The X or the -2? Remember the alligator mouth, or however you guys like to describe it? So in the top one, since it's facing the -2, it would rather eat the -2. That one's bigger, right? What about in here? What number is bigger, the X or the -2? The -2 still. So even though the symbol is facing the other way, they're still saying the same relationship. All right, so don't let that confuse you. Question so far? All right, then I want you guys to try 6 and 7. Try both of those. Yes? So number 6, pick a variable, doesn't matter which one. What number are we comparing it to? The 4. Is X greater or less than 4? Greater. And the way that you know is where the arrow is pointing. So anywhere where the arrow is pointing. So like, is 6 greater than 4? So that's how you know. If you tried it like 6 less than 4, that doesn't make sense. Flip the symbol. And then do I need to add anything else to this? The line, because it's a closed circle, meaning that is for a solution to that inequality. Yes. That's like saying we need to buy at least 4 pizzas to feed the class. So does that mean I can buy exactly 4? Yes. So that is a good real world example. Buying at least 4, things like that. What did you guys get for number 7? With the line underneath, good. So the way you read it is x is less than or equal to 0. So like, is -8 less than or equal to 0? Is 0 less than or equal to 0? So then that works. And then again, because of the closed circle, you have that line. Questions there? All right. So now a couple rules to keep in mind when we're solving inequalities. So when we say solving equations, what were we trying to do to the variable? Isolate it. So solving inequalities is the same thing. We want to isolate the variable. So I mean, yeah, there's like a range of solutions. Like in this one, x is less than or equal to 0. But you have to isolate the x before you can like say that. But there's a special rule that you need to remember. Anyone happen to know from previous experiences, maybe? So you must flip the inequality symbol when you do what? Anyone remember? When you, I heard both answers, so thank you. When you multiply or divide by what? By a negative number. All right, that's probably like the #1 rule students forget. Even sometimes I forget too, like when I was taking your test for unit 2, because I take it myself to make sure I know what I'm supposed to teach you. I forgot to flip the symbol. So when I looked at the right answer, I was like, what did I do wrong? And then I was like, oh yeah, forgot. So very small detail to miss, but it's very important. So then now let's practice solving some inequalities. In this first one, we want to get the x by itself. For these, you're going to want to treat the inequality symbol like an equal sign. Don't touch it at all, just bring it down each time, unless you multiply or divide a negative number on each side of the inequality. So not just in general, like it would have to be on each side. So when I want to get this x by itself, do I get rid of the 3 or the 2 first? And how do I cancel out that 2? Whatever you do on one side, do to the other side. So now I have 3x. Do I need to flip the sign for that? No, because what operation did I do? I subtracted, so that's not multiplying or dividing, so you leave the symbol the same. And then what's -4 minus 2? Not -2. -6 is correct. Feel free to check it on a calculator. You can all use calculators. All right, but yeah, -4 minus 2 is -6. Now keep going. How can I cancel out the multiplying by 3? Divide by 3. Whatever you do on one side, do to the other side. Do I need to flip the symbol for that? No, because did I divide by a negative on each side? No, I divided a positive. So the symbol stays the same. Yeah, there's a negative number over here, but that doesn't matter. Like it matters when you do it on each side. That's positive. So x will be less than what? -2. That's what -6 divided by 3 is. So box that up, that's my solution. Now we just have to graph it. Notice there's no numbers on it. So that's why you need to like know how to make a number line. So what number should I probably put in the middle then? Good, whatever your solution was. And to the right, I need numbers that are bigger or smaller. Bigger, so like, next number would be -1, and to the right, it would get smaller. I'm gonna have to like squeeze it in here, but what would this tick mark be? And then this one, and then that one. Perfect. Where does the circle go? And will it be open or closed? And will it point to the left or to the right? Who thinks left? Who thinks right? All right, left is correct. And always just like take a moment, plug in and see. Is -5 less than -2? Yes, so I put the arrow in the correct direction. Good? All right, do you think if I let you try 10 that you can handle that? I'm gonna let you try it. If you need me, let me know, but it's just like when we did it with equations. You guys are really good at that. Now, just the only difference is that symbol. But you treat it like an equal sign, unless you multiply or divide a negative on each side. I'm gonna add that to this definition. So only if you multiply or divide a negative number on each side of the inequality. So try 10, I'll give you 1 minute. First step in solving an inequality is to do what for this one? Good. So the 2's farther away, so we'll get rid of that first. Do I need to flip the sign? No, because all we did was subtract. So kind of ask yourself that each time, just so you don't forget. But then what's -1 minus 2? -3 is correct. And then opposite of dividing by 6 is, so do that on each side. Do I need to flip the sign for that? Did I multiply a negative on each side? So no, don't flip the sign, keep it the same. What's -3 times 6? Perfect. So then when making my number line, what number should be in the middle? I said 8. And to the right, I want numbers that are bigger. So what would be bigger? Good. I'm going to label like every other. What about over here to the left? What should I write for this tip? Good. And then this one? Good. I decided not to label the one, but feel free to. So should I have an open or closed circle on the -18? And should it go left or right? To the right. That's where the numbers are greater than the -18. So like to the right would be 0, even though it's not shown on here. 0 is definitely bigger than -18. So that's how you know. Good, any questions? All right, I'll leave it there for today.